Yo people, welcome back to Ron's Tech Hub, and today I'm going to be showing the Xbox, it's the ROG Xbox Ally, not the X version, just the normal white version. Let's go. Unboxing is going to be pretty straightforward. Simply slide this out. So I'm going to hold it up like this, start the sliding out like so, pull this out like this, that's it. And from here you simply open the case like this. I'm going to take this out, put that to one side, and here we have the console. I'm going to put this to one side just for now so I can see what else is in the box. On the right hand side, we have, this is the power cable itself. On the left hand side, we have the USB-C adapter that goes with the power cable. And at the very top here, we have a stand. So this is just a plastic stand to hold the console up. So you put this on there like so, I'm guessing, just to hold it upright on your desk. Let's have a quick look around the device. So from the front, we have the screen, obviously. To the left of the screen, we have these controls here. The first one we have is the left joystick, the D-pad, the Xbox button, then we have an app switcher
and the ASUS Armor Crate button.
On the right hand side, we have another joystick. We have the traditional Xbox buttons. We have a 3-line hamburger menu button. And again, on the front, we have speakers, both left and right. I like the fact that these are pointing at you instead of up or down, because that's going to give you the best sound. At the top, we have the vents for exhaust. We have USB-C, USB-C, 2 LEDs here, but I'm too blind to read what they are. We have the volume rocker, and this seems to be another speaker. I'm not entirely sure. I will double check. We have an SD card slot here, headphone jack, and finally, we have the power button. And the power button. On the left again, we have LB and LT, and on the right we have RB and RT. We have 2 buttons back here, and hopefully these are programmable buttons that we can use. And on the back as well, we have what seems to be some intake fans, which is in the style of the ROG, you know, that eye that they always have on their devices. We have some more screws back here as well. There's nothing else noteworthy whilst going around the device. Unfortunately, this device is too heavy for my kitchen scale, so what I'll do, I'll Google the weight of it and put it on screen. Weight-wise, I would say the ROG Ally feels a bit heavier than the Nintendo Switch 2. The most obvious difference between them are the screen sizes and the controllers. I do like the feel of the Nintendo Switch 2 better than the Nintendo Switch 1. However, I feel as if this should be the new standard for gaming handhelds. Having a proper controller, a proper grip like this, the buttons feel very well placed. To be honest, it is an Xbox controller, but it just feels a bit more elongated than the Xbox controller, which obviously that's due to the height of the screen as well. So it feels like Xbox, but just a bit longer. I only brought this in for a size comparison. I think the screen side of this Logitech gaming handheld, this is an Android device, is closer to what the ROG is versus what the Switch is. The Switch is a much bigger screen in my opinion, whereas this is more comparable. The next thing I want to do is actually check, before I even turn this on, check how much power this power brick is going to draw to power this. This is completely dead. It won't come on at all, so I need to plug it in and charge it up anyway. So what I'm going to do is get my power cord here. I'm going to plug my power and off here, plug this into here, plug this into the top of the device, then plug this into the power monitor over here. Let's see what I get. So I'm getting 68 watts so far. Might go up a bit more. No, that's it. So I'm getting roughly 68 watts, 68.1 to be exact. When I checked the specs earlier, this does have power delivery 3. So I was expecting a bit more than 68 watts. However, if that's what the system needs, then fair play. I'm going to let this charge for a while. When it has a decent amount of battery life, I'll come back and continue. That's now saying 0, which means that this device is fully charged. So I'm going to unplug it for a minute. So to power it on, I'm going to hold the power button here at the top. Just press it once and it starts to come out. Republic of Gamers. So that's where you get the ROG from. That sounded really good. That sounded really, really clear, really sharp, really loud, really good. All right, so just to give some basic specs of this versus the ROG Xbox Ally X. So this has the AMD Ryzen Z2A processor, whereas the Ally X has the Z2 Extreme. This has 16 gigabytes of RAM, and to be fair, is running at 6400 mega transfers, a 512 M.2 SSD, which you can upgrade. I'm not able to open this one because it's not my device. That's a 7-inch Full HD display that can run up to 120 Hz. This has a 60 watt-hour battery, so decent sized battery, and the weight is 670 grams versus the 750 on the Ally X. 2 USB Gen 3 ports, micro SD, headphone jack, and what I think is the most important feature on here, the Xbox controller. I would say this is by far the best sound I've heard on any mobile device ever. I've never heard anything sound so clear and so loud, and the bass you get from it is actually really surprising. I think the forward pointing speakers was a very good idea. It does have a hollow sound and feel to some areas, which actually might make the amplification of the sound a bit better. So this is not my preferred way to game, but I do think mobile gaming is the future. Maybe not this exact form factor, but it is going to be something relatively mobile, because if you think about it, devices have gotten so much more powerful and so much smaller that this just makes sense that you can take everything around with you. But I do have to say, this is not an Xbox. It is a Windows handheld PC with a new user interface. That's all it is. It's a handheld PC with a nice, but sometimes I believe wonky user interface. It does play games well enough. I played Grid, I played Tunic, downloading Crysis now, I played Dirt. So the gaming performance on here is acceptable. But again, acceptable versus what? For £500, for £499, I believe it's a bit overpriced. There's nothing else out there now at the moment with this Xbox user interface. So if this is something that you definitely want to have, must have, then this or the Ally X is going to be your only best bet. I personally think that Microsoft has to bring this to mainstream relatively soon. And I'm thinking more 2027 when they have their actual next gen console. And for £500, it still doesn't even play all the PC games. So this is Crysis. Crysis was released back in 2007. And back then it was the thing to test your PC to see how good it was. However, when I click play, it does open, it tries to play it, does all of this. I get to this section, I have a black screen, it comes up and nothing happens. It will simply crash back to Steam and doesn't even give me an error message. What I like about the Xbox user interface thus far is that once I press the Xbox button here on the left, I can scroll down and I can see games from all my different libraries. So for example, I've got Xbox, I've got Steam, and I've got Epic, and I can see games from all of those. So if I click on Steam, this will load up my Steam library so I can go directly into that. I can swipe up and I can go back to Xbox. If I press Xbox again, I can go down to my Epic library. Another not so great thing about the user interface, I believe that features from Windows keep bleeding through. I can't show it to you here because I've already set up and this is not my device, but the setup process was by far the worst. It's essentially Windows 11 setup screen where you have to enter username and password and choose OneDrive and choose all of these things that you don't want just so that you can get to the Xbox app. In my opinion, the setup app needs to be like the Xbox app. So like the Xbox Series S or X, where you simply turn the console on and it's only Xbox related setup stuff that you need to focus on. Here's another thing. I don't want to see that. That should not have appeared on my screen. That could have easily been a background process where they said, please wait while we're installing updates. Even the login screen is Windows. This is a prime example of where Windows keeps bleeding through again. So I'm trying to install the Outer Worlds tool. So if I go there, press A to install, it tells me I don't have enough storage. So I need to free up some storage, which is fine. I go to free up space, then it loads me into Windows settings to try and install some of the games. So now I'm on the installed app section and I have to go to Dirt Rally, click on the three dots here, go to uninstall, click on uninstall. This is just Windows. Since I'm here, this is a prime example of what we don't need on a gaming handheld PC. Look at all these install apps. Now, I know that some of these things could be installed in the background and we might never see them, but look at this. I've got camera, I've got clock, I've got Copilot, I've got family, feedback hub, I've got Microsoft 365. We have Copilot, we have Bing, we have Microsoft Clipchamp, Microsoft Edge. You know, we could probably leave Microsoft Edge on there. Microsoft OneDrive, Microsoft OneNote, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft To Do, Microsoft Whiteboard, Microsoft News, Notepad, Outlook, Paint, Photos, Power Automate. The only thing I should be able to access from the Xbox app are maybe some drivers, the Xbox app itself. To switch between apps immediately, you press and hold the menu button here, the hamburger menu. Then you also press the switch app button here. And that switches between the two most recent apps you have open. This is not an Xbox. It is a Windows handheld PC with a slightly new user interface. It does not, let me repeat, this does not play Xbox games. It just so happens that some Xbox games are also on PC, and because this is a PC handheld, it works out fine. But in my opinion, again, this does not make it an Xbox. I do think this new user interface is a step in the right direction, but not a step far enough. I also do think Microsoft playing catch up is very ironic. They have been the go-to operating system for gaming for my entire gaming life. So since I started gaming back on PC back in like 2004 to 2005, it's just been Windows. I still haven't even tried SteamOS properly yet. And the reason I think this is ironic, or I think they should have done a lot more, a lot quicker, because in my opinion, this is just my opinion again, there is not much on the side of research and development that Microsoft and Sony have to do for hardware, that is, know they have to do loads of stuff for hardware and for software, but I think it's been reduced a lot for hardware because nowadays they're using the x86 processors, they use SSDs, they're using modified motherboards. So really and truly, the PS5 and the Series X and S are PCs just trimmed down a lot. It's the software that makes the real difference. And I do think for the Xbox Ally, the one I have, the software is very lacking. I do think, however, Microsoft made the right choice in making ASUS take one for the team. If Microsoft released this piece of software with their own handheld anytime soon, it would not be a competition for SteamOS because SteamOS is still killing it. Microsoft essentially released beta software with so much noise behind it. Oh, this is an Xbox, that's an Xbox, this is an Xbox. I think it's bad marketing because it's going to come back and bite them in the rear. There's simply too many bugs and too many software overlaps. I'm using a Windows gaming handheld using the Xbox mode, and I have to go into settings to do updates. I have to go into settings to uninstall games. I have to go into settings to change my brightness and to make sure that once I plug it in, the screen doesn't dim. It's just too much overlap. I have a blog post from a few months ago where I spoke about what Microsoft needed to do to actually fix their gaming handhelds or to fix their operating system. The sentiments are still the same. And I believe that with the amount of money that the biggest software company in the entire world has, they can fix their own software. I don't think it should be that big of an issue. There are things that Microsoft can do to have a simple, working, cohesive operating system across devices. This is just my opinion from being an engineer and a computer scientist. I have had no experience in kernel or operating system development, but from my understanding, what I would want them to do is strip Windows 11, Windows 12 back to kernel. So go back to kernel, don't put anything on top of it. For the gaming operating system, only add the services absolutely necessary for gaming. So no Teams, no Copilot, no calculator, no calendar, nothing that's built into the main version of Windows that's not gaming related. Everything added to the system must be gaming related. For example, something as simple as disk cleanup should be done once someone uninstalls a game, not something that you have to go in and do extra if this person wants to use this device as purely a gaming PC. For me, personally, it's not worth a buy, at least not right now. There's a lot that needs to be done with the software side of things. I think with the hardware side of things, it's overpriced, personally, and the Ally X for £1,000, in my opinion, is also definitely not worth a buy. I haven't used it yet, but if it's simply a more premium version of what this is, then I think it's a waste of money. If Microsoft does, however, continue, I can see this vision being fully realized in the next generation, which is rumored to start in 2027. Why? Let me give you a few points. If you can have a single box that plays every single PC game because it has the backward compatibility of Windows, which I'm sure they can figure something out to strip out some of it so we don't need every single feature in there. So we don't have every single legacy app. You can play most Xbox games either natively or through emulation. Perfect. You can play some PlayStation games because I know Sony has been and might and most likely will continue to bring some of those games over to PC as well. So if you can have a box that does all of that, use emulation to play older titles from other gaming companies. And then finally, the very last thing, again, this is a gaming centric operating system. It needs to be separate from the main version of Windows, and you should have the option to load into the main version of Windows if you want. It shouldn't be forced upon you. If this just sounds like a Windows gaming PC, then you're not wrong. This is exactly what it is now for Windows gaming PCs. I think the leaks are correct, and Microsoft will continue to be a software company and lease the software out to other hardware makers. That's what they shouldn't do, in my opinion. They might have a reference device and then obviously companies can go and bolt things onto it. But I think, in my opinion, the main thing is if Microsoft continually releases a broken version of Windows, not just for gaming handhelds, but just in general, I think they're slowly going to kill off their PC gaming division, because what SteamOS can do with limited resources, what Buzzside can do with limited resources is absolutely amazing. The Steam Deck, which is I think like 4 years old at this point, is still running some games better than this brand new £500 device. But I get it might be an easier sell for developers compared to natively supporting SteamOS, because SteamOS is Linux and they don't have much control over it in terms of what they can block people from doing, whereas Windows has all that stuff tied in already. It might be an easier sell to simply just go to Windows, but Microsoft, do better. It's that simple. Microsoft, you need to do better.